Have you ever noticed how the softer you are with people, the harsher they seem to become? You give time, energy, patience, and instead of gratitude, what you receive is silence, entitlement, or worse, disrespect. It's like pouring water into a vessel with no bottom. No matter how much you give, it never fills, it never satisfies. I've watched it happen to good people. Hearts wide open, always ready to forgive, always ready to say yes. At first they are admired, then slowly they become invisible. Their kindness stops being a gift and turns into something expected, like air or tap water, necessary but unnoticed. Human nature has this cruel paradox. What is freely given is rarely cherished. The Stoics saw this long ago. They knew that kindness without wisdom is not kindness at all, it is self-erasure. To live with dignity, you must know not only how to give, but when to guard. So why does kindness so often turn into disrespect? And how do you protect your peace without hardening your heart? Stay with me, because the answer may change the way you think about kindness forever. As we step into the first chapter, picture this scene: a person who has given so much of themselves that their hands feel empty, their heart stretched thin, and yet the very people who benefited the most look away as if nothing was ever offered. It stings. You wonder how something so pure could turn against you, how a gesture of goodwill could become the very reason you're overlooked. That paradox, that the more you give, the less you are valued, is one of the most painful lessons life has to teach. Have you ever sat in silence after helping someone again and again, only to feel invisible in their eyes? At first, they thank you, their gratitude warm. Then the thanks fades, and soon your effort becomes background noise. You become expected, not appreciated. This is the hidden trap of kindness misunderstood. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." And yet, what he leaves between the lines is this: to be good is not to surrender your worth. Being kind does not mean dissolving into nothing. Let me tell you a story. I once knew a man who was generous with everyone around him. He would drive friends across the city in the middle of the night, lend money without asking when it would be returned, forgive slights as if they were nothing. At first, people praised him. They called him dependable, but slowly something shifted. His phone rang only when someone needed something. Invitations came not from affection, but convenience. He thought his kindness would buy him loyalty, but instead it bought him invisibility. When he finally said no, the silence from those who once leaned on him was deafening. His lesson was brutal but clear. Kindness without wisdom is not seen as strength, it is seen as weakness. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. People do not automatically respect kindness. They respect boundaries. Epictetus warned, "If you wish to be good, first believe that you are bad." What he meant was that you must confront your own tendency to overextend, to imagine that goodness is measured by endless sacrifice. Real kindness is deliberate, not desperate. It does not beg to be noticed. It does not trade dignity for acceptance. Think of a river. The first time you see it, its beauty moves you. The second time you still pause in admiration. But if you live beside it every day, its flow becomes ordinary. You stop noticing the glimmer of light on the water. You stop hearing the music of its current. It is no less beautiful, no less powerful, but in your familiarity, you lose appreciation. This is human nature. What is always available is rarely honored. And when you make your kindness a river that never dries, people stop seeing it as a gift. They see it as a given. That is why kindness, standing alone, is often misunderstood. Without the strength to say no, without the courage to withdraw, it becomes a mask others use to hide their own selfishness. You become a mirror, reflecting back only what they want to see. And soon, they are not looking at you at all. They are looking at what they can take. This is not love. It is use. This is not respect. It is neglect. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." Courage, in the realm of kindness, means daring to protect yourself. It means realizing that giving endlessly does not make you noble. It makes you empty. There is no wisdom in allowing yourself to be drained by those who have no intention of giving back. To be brave is to say, "I will give, but not at the cost of my soul." True kindness is not self-erasure. It is self-respect offered outward. Ask yourself, when was the last time you gave simply to be acknowledged? When was the last time you forgave because you were afraid to lose someone's approval? These moments reveal a dangerous truth. You were not giving, you were bargaining, hoping that your kindness would be enough to make them see your worth. But worth is not proven through sacrifice. Worth is inherent, unshaken, immovable. A diamond remains valuable even if someone mistakes it for a stone. Your kindness does not lose value because someone refuses to respect it. It loses value only when you refuse to respect yourself. Imagine walking into a room where someone makes a cruel remark about you. The untrained heart will rush to prove, to explain, to appease. But the Stoic path chooses silence, or a calm smile, or a measured word, because you understand something deeper. The moment you chase their approval, you have already lowered yourself beneath them. Kindness is not to be confused with submission. Submission invites contempt, but kindness with strength commands respect. So here is the lesson of this first chapter. Kindness must be guarded. It must be coupled with wisdom, with the steady hand that knows when to give and when to withhold. The Stoics never told us to stop loving, to stop helping, to stop forgiving. They told us to anchor those acts in discipline, not in desperation. Because a heart that gives without wisdom becomes a target, but a heart that gives with clarity becomes a fortress. This is where we begin. Understanding that kindness, left unchecked, will twist into disrespect. And unless you learn the difference between being good and being used, you will carry wounds carved not by enemies, but by the very people you tried to love. Guard your kindness, protect your worth. And from here, we move into the next truth. Why boundaries are the silent force that transforms kindness into respect. Moving into the second chapter, picture a door that never closes. Anyone can walk in, stay as long as they like, take whatever they please. At first, it feels generous, open-hearted. But soon the room is stripped bare, and the one who left it open is left wondering why there is nothing left but emptiness. That is what happens when kindness exists without boundaries. It becomes an invitation to be taken, not a gift to be honored. Have you ever noticed how the person who can never say no becomes the one everyone leans on, yet the least respected? The one always ready to help, always ready to listen, always ready to forgive. And yet their presence carries less weight with each passing day. Why? Because when you place no walls around your time, your energy, your dignity, you teach others that they are free to treat it as cheap. Boundaries are not walls of cruelty. They are lines of respect. They are how you remind others and yourself that your kindness has value. Seneca once wrote, "No man has the power to have everything he wants, but it is in his power not to want what he has not, and cheerfully make the most of what he does have." That applies not only to possessions, but to people. When you allow others unlimited access to your generosity, they want more, demand more, expect more, and in their hunger, they stop seeing you. They see only what they can extract. It is not their malice that wounds you, but your own failure to set limits. Let me share a story. A woman I knew was admired at her workplace for her patience. She covered extra shifts, helped colleagues finish projects, and stayed late without complaint. At first, she was praised as dependable, but slowly something shifted. Requests became demands. Her staying late was no longer seen as a sacrifice, but an obligation. When she once dared to say she couldn't, her colleagues looked at her as if she had betrayed them. What had happened? Her kindness had no boundary, so it was consumed until nothing was left but resentment. When she finally began to refuse, she didn't lose friends, she lost parasites. And in that loss, she gained back her dignity. This is the paradox. Saying no is often the most powerful form of yes. Yes to your peace. Yes to your self-respect. Yes to kindness that remains a choice, not a chain. Epictetus reminded us, no man is free who is not master of himself. And part of mastery is knowing when to close the door. Not to lock the world out, but to preserve the space in which your kindness can thrive. Think of fire. A controlled flame warms, cooks, illuminates. But a fire without boundaries destroys the very home it was meant to serve. Your kindness is the same. It is not meant to spread recklessly until it burns you out. It is meant to be placed where it gives life, not where it consumes. Without boundaries, even your brightest warmth will be treated as nothing more than background heat. With boundaries, that warmth becomes rare, precious, unforgettable. The hardest part is not drawing the line, it is holding it when people push back. They will test you. They will guilt you. They will say you have changed. And in a way, you have. You have moved from being used to being respected. The people who truly value you will adjust because they never wanted you just for what you could give. The ones who leave were never with you. They were with your open door. So ask yourself, do you give because you choose or because you are afraid to refuse? Do you forgive because it comes from strength or because you fear abandonment? Every yes you speak without conviction erodes the worth of the yes you give with love. And slowly, your kindness becomes currency in someone else's market, cheapened until it feels worthless even to you. Boundaries do not shrink your kindness. They preserve it, they refine it. They allow it to shine where it matters most. Imagine a sculptor who chisels away the excess stone to reveal the form within. That is what boundaries do to kindness. They reveal its strength, its clarity, its dignity. The Stoics never told us to live without compassion. They told us to live with order, with self-mastery, with awareness that our time, our energy, our love are not infinite resources. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. In practice, this means you cannot control who respects your kindness, but you can control where it is given. You can choose to offer it where it will be honored, not squandered. Here is the closing truth of this chapter. Kindness is only powerful when it carries the weight of discernment. A yes that costs you everything is not kindness, it is surrender. A no that protects your spirit is not cruelty, it is wisdom. And those who cannot respect your boundaries cannot respect your kindness either. From here, we move deeper into the heart of human nature itself, why people so often take for granted what they never had to earn, and why entitlement grows fastest in the soil of endless giving. Advancing to the third chapter, picture a child handed the same toy every day. The first time their eyes light up. gratitude spilling over. The second time, there's still joy, but softer. By the 10th, they barely look up, snatch it, and move on. What once felt like a privilege has become an expectation. This is the cruel rhythm of human nature. We rarely value what we do not have to earn. Think about the gifts you've given of yourself, your time, your energy, your patience. At first, they may have been met with thanks, but over time, something shifts. The thanks fades. Entitlement grows. The more easily someone can access your kindness, the less remarkable it becomes. Seneca warned, "What is given without effort is not valued." The Stoics knew this truth well. Abundance without boundaries breeds contempt, not gratitude. Let me give you a story. A friend of mine spent years supporting a relative who was constantly in crisis. She was always there, rides to appointments, loans never repaid, sleepless nights of listening. At first, the relative seemed grateful, promising change, but the more help was offered, the more it was expected. One night, after refusing a request, she was accused of being selfish. Selfish after years of sacrifice. That was her awakening. It wasn't her love that was wrong. It was her failure to understand how easily love can be twisted into obligation when no limits are drawn. We see this pattern everywhere. A road always open is never celebrated. A river that never dries is rarely admired. The common becomes invisible. The rare becomes sacred. Why is gold valued more than sand? Not because sand is useless, but because sand is everywhere and gold is not. Your presence, your kindness, your energy, they too are precious metals. Treat them like sand, and others will walk over them without a second thought. Treat them like gold, and others will cherish every glimpse. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You will meet ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful men." He did not say this with bitterness. He said it with clarity. He knew that the fault was not in being kind, but in expecting human nature to always return that kindness in equal measure. People are wired to chase what is scarce, not what is always within reach. That is why the friend who ignores you becomes more intriguing than the one who is always available. That is why the leader who is rarely seen commands more respect than the one who attends every call. Here lies the paradox. The more available you make yourself, the less weight your presence carries. But when you choose carefully where your time goes, when you're not always within reach, people learn to honor the moments you do give. It is not about manipulation, it is about alignment. Respect grows when people must rise to meet you, not when you lower yourself to meet every demand. The question is not whether people respect your presence, it is whether you respect it enough to protect it. Do they appreciate your kindness, or have they come to expect it? The difference is in how you position yourself. Even the Stoics lived by this law of value. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." He meant that you must be willing to step back, to withhold, to let others learn through effort rather than having you smooth every path. Sometimes the most loving act is to let someone struggle, because only then will they appreciate the support when it truly comes. Imagine walking into a jewelry store. Diamonds are kept behind glass, under lock and key, presented with ceremony. Plastic trinkets, by contrast, are tossed in bins by the door. The presentation itself creates value, and so it is with your kindness. If you allow anyone to seize it without effort, they will treat it as plastic. If you reserve it, give it wisely, with intention, it shines like a diamond. The truth is simple. People do not value what they do not earn. And if you give endlessly without requiring responsibility, you are not helping them, you are teaching them to take. So guard your presence. Let people feel your absence. Make them rise to the privilege of your yes, rather than drown in the flood of your automatic giving. True kindness has weight when it is given sparingly, intentionally, wisely. Without this, kindness collapses into disrespect, and you are left wondering why love feels like a burden. If this resonates, write 2 words in the comments: value boundaries. It's a reminder that kindness gains strength when it is protected, not when it is scattered. And if you want more of these truths, subscribe and walk with me deeper into Stoic wisdom. Because from here, we move to the next truth, that saying no is not cruelty. It is the highest form of wisdom, the quiet shield that keeps kindness from destroying the one who gives it. Here's where the lesson sharpens into something harder to swallow. Picture yourself cornered at a gathering, someone asking for another favor, another piece of your time, another drop from a well that already feels dry. You feel the tug, the urge to nod, to agree, to say yes, even as your chest tightens. That single word, yes, feels harmless in the moment. But when repeated without thought, it becomes a blade that cuts into your dignity. Now imagine a life where every request is granted, where your lips form yes before your mind has weighed the cost. On the surface, it looks noble, generous, even admirable, but underneath, it is corrosion. Each time you say yes out of fear rather than conviction, you erode a little of yourself. The Stoics understood this trap. Epictetus warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastery means the courage to say no, not as cruelty, not as rebellion, but as wisdom. Let me share a story. A man I once knew worked tirelessly in his office. Whenever his colleagues dropped unfinished tasks on his desk, he accepted them. He believed that being agreeable would make him indispensable. At first, they praised him, but soon it became habit. His workload doubled, then tripled, and still he agreed. When he finally reached his breaking point and declined a task, the same colleagues who once applauded him labeled him lazy, unhelpful. His yes had lost all value because it had never been balanced by no. Only when he began to set limits, calmly, firmly, did respect return to his name. Kindness without refusal loses its meaning. Saying no is not the end of generosity. It is the beginning of true generosity because it ensures that your yes comes from clarity, not from fear. Marcus Aurelius reflected on this truth when he wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Apply this to kindness. If it is not wise, do not give it. If it is not respected, do not repeat it. Think of a farmer guarding his field. He waters his crops, tends to them, nurtures them with patience. But what if he allowed anyone to trample through, plucking whatever they pleased, taking more than they needed? Soon the soil is barren, and there is nothing left for harvest. His kindness without boundaries destroys the very life he tried to preserve. In the same way, your no is the fence that keeps your kindness fertile. The fear of saying no is often disguised as politeness. We worry that refusal will make us appear harsh or selfish. But selfishness is not in guarding your dignity. Selfishness is in asking someone to give endlessly without thought for their well-being. When you say no, you are not rejecting the person, you are rejecting the erosion of your own worth. And in doing so, you teach them something greater, that respect and responsibility are part of every exchange. I remember a woman who always answered calls, no matter the hour. Friends leaned on her constantly, not out of malice, but because they knew she would never refuse. She grew tired, yet still picked up the phone. One night, exhausted beyond words, she let the phone ring. She didn't answer. And in that silence, she discovered something extraordinary. The world did not collapse. Her worth did not diminish. Instead, she felt free. The first no was terrifying, but it became the seed of her peace. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. Courage is not always in grand gestures. Sometimes it is in the quiet firmness of a refusal, the refusal to let yourself be consumed, the refusal to let your kindness be weaponized against you. True strength is not in how much you can endure, but in how clearly you can choose. So let me leave you with this thought. Every no you speak with wisdom adds weight to your yes. Each boundary you hold becomes a silent declaration. I know my worth, and I will not trade it for acceptance. Kindness without wisdom is weakness. But kindness guarded by wisdom becomes power. At this stage, the path turns again. We have seen how boundaries protect kindness and how no becomes a shield. Next, we must confront the deeper truth. Respect is never demanded. It is commanded by the way you carry yourself, in silence, in strength, in presence. From here, the lesson turns toward the heart of dignity itself. Imagine a lion in the wild. It does not announce its power, nor beg to be recognized. It simply walks, steady and unshaken, and the whole savannah adjusts around its presence. Respect works the same way. It cannot be demanded. It must be commanded by how you carry yourself. Now think of the moments when you tried to convince someone to treat you better. You explained yourself, raised your voice, maybe even pleaded for acknowledgement. Did it work? Or did it leave you feeling smaller, as if the very act of asking proved you didn't have it? Marcus Aurelius warned, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." To him, respect was not something you claimed with words, but something you embodied with every action. I once knew a man who was constantly overlooked at work. Meetings would pass, and his voice was drowned out by louder ones, so he tried harder. He explained more, raised his tone, defended every idea. The result? He was seen as desperate, not respected. One day, after much reflection, he chose a different approach. He stopped explaining himself endlessly. He spoke less, but with clarity. He let silence carry weight after his words. Slowly, the room shifted. People leaned in when he spoke, not because he demanded it, but because his presence had become undeniable. That is the essence of commanding respect. It is not in louder words. It is in the quiet discipline of self-control. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When someone mocks you, do you defend yourself endlessly, or do you let their words fall useless to the ground? When someone underestimates you, do you scramble to prove them wrong, or do you move forward in calm persistence, letting time prove what words never could? The second path is Stoic. It is power without noise. Picture a storm raging at sea. The waves crash, the winds howl, ships toss about. Yet beneath the surface, the deep ocean remains unmoved. That depth is what respect feels like. The shallow waters scream, the deep waters hold their silence. When you remain calm under attack, when you refuse to be provoked, when you carry yourself with steadiness, you command something far greater than fear. You command respect. Respect is not born from defending every insult. It grows when people realize their insults do not move you. It is not created by demanding better treatment. It is created by refusing to tolerate less. Seneca wrote, "He who despises himself is despised by others." This is the root. If you accept disrespect, if you laugh off what should never be joked about, If you allow someone to cross a line again and again, you teach them how little you value yourself. And once that lesson is taught, it is hard to unteach. I recall a woman who endured constant teasing in her circle of friends. At first, she laughed along, thinking it was harmless, but the jokes sharpened, cutting deeper each time. One evening, instead of laughing, she fell silent. She looked directly at the one who mocked her, calm but firm, and said, "That ends here." The air shifted. The laughter died. No shouting, no defense, just presence. And from that day forward, the mockery stopped. Respect was not asked for. It was commanded. This is the turning point we must all face. Do you live trying to prove yourself to others? Or do you live as proof itself? Do you spend your energy defending your worth? Or do you embody it so fully that no one can deny it? Respect is not a trophy handed to the loudest. It is the natural response to one who carries themselves with inner authority. Dignity does not shout. Presence does not plead. Respect, when it is real, comes unbidden. And if it is denied, your absence will teach what your presence could not. Advancing from this truth, the question deepens. What do you do when even your steady presence is wasted on those who refuse to see it? The answer lies in walking away, not in anger, but in wisdom, removing yourself so your absence teaches what your presence could not. Entering the 6th chapter, picture this. You've given your best, stood tall with calm presence, and still some refuse to see you. They ignore your boundaries, twist your kindness, and dismiss your worth as if it were dust on the floor. It is in this moment, not in the easy moments, that the true test arrives. What do you do when your strength is wasted on those who will not honor it? The answer is as old as the Stoics themselves. You walk away. Not in rage, not in bitterness, but in wisdom. Now imagine a craftsman who spends years carving a beautiful statue. He places it in the town square, expecting awe. But the crowd mocks it, passes it without pause. Some even throw dirt at its base. Does the statue lose its value because the crowd is blind? No. Its worth is unchanged. The blindness is theirs, and so it is with you. When you remain where you are not respected, you start to forget your own shape. You begin to believe their blindness is the truth. The Stoic response is to withdraw, to step back into the silence where your dignity can breathe again. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy, to stay where contempt festers, to argue endlessly with those committed to misunderstanding you. That is to become like them. To leave quietly, with your head unbowed, is the deeper victory. Because absence has a weight that presence sometimes cannot carry. When you are always there, your value is hidden. When you remove yourself, the air shifts, and your absence becomes a mirror they cannot avoid. I remember a man who stayed far too long in a toxic circle of friends. He thought if he explained himself better, if he gave more, if he swallowed one more insult, they would finally treat him right. Years passed, and nothing changed. Then one evening, he simply stopped showing up. No announcement, no argument, just absence. At first they mocked him still, but slowly the silence grew heavy. They realized the one they leaned on was no longer there. His presence had been taken for granted, but his absence taught what his words never could, that his value was never in question, only their ability to see it. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. It is not cruelty to leave those who refuse to honor your presence. It is loyalty to yourself. The truth is, not everyone deserves unlimited access to you. Not every room deserves your light. and sometimes the only way to teach respect is to deny your constant availability. Think of music. A song played on endless repeat fades into noise. But when it is rare, it strikes the heart. But when fire is absent on a cold night, its value is remembered instantly. Your withdrawal is not punishment. It is a natural reminder of worth. By stepping back, you create the conditions where others must finally confront what you gave and what they squandered. Walking away is not weakness. It is choosing battles worthy of your energy. It is knowing that your time, your heart, your presence are not common currency. They are rare, they are finite, they are gold. And gold is never tossed carelessly into every hand that reaches for it. So, here is the closing truth of this chapter. Sometimes the most powerful statement is silence, and the most powerful action is absence. When you no longer explain, when you no longer beg, when you no longer stay where you're disrespected, you reclaim your power in full, and this leads us forward. For the journey does not end with withdrawal. The Stoics remind us, life is not about proving yourself to those who cannot see. It is about embodying your worth so fully that the right people recognize it without you saying a word. From here, we step into the final realization. Peace is not found in being accepted everywhere, but in carrying yourself as enough wherever you stand. Kindness will always remain one of the most powerful forces a person can carry, but like every great strength, it must be guided by wisdom. When it flows without measure, when it is given without limits, it begins to lose its meaning. What once was a gift becomes an expectation. What once inspired respect begins to invite disregard. The Stoics saw this clearly. They taught that virtue is not only about action, but about discipline, about the courage to know when to give and when to hold. Think of the moments when your patience, your time, your heart were offered again and again. At first there may have been gratitude, yet slowly your presence became assumed rather than cherished. That shift was never a reflection of your worth. It was a reminder that even the brightest light must be guarded, or else it will be mistaken for ordinary. Seneca reminded us that if we do not value ourselves, we cannot expect others to do so. Guarding your kindness is not selfishness. It is dignity. It is the foundation of true respect. So let this be the lesson you carry. Be generous, but not blind. Be patient, but never at the cost of your peace. Say yes with conviction and no with courage. Give with an open heart, yet protect that heart so it remains strong. Respect will never be born from endless explanation. It will grow naturally when you walk with steadiness, when your silence has weight, and when your boundaries stand firm. If these words speak to you, consider subscribing so you can continue walking deeper into this path of clarity and strength. And in the comments, write 2 words: guard kindness. Let them remind you that compassion and wisdom must always walk together. Carry this into the days ahead. Your worth does not depend on who sees it. It is constant, like a flame that burns whether noticed or not. Protect your peace, trust your strength, and prepare for the next lesson, where we will continue uncovering how to live with calm authority, unshakable dignity, and a heart that cannot be broken.